Hello, this is Heather, and it is a Sunday night at 12:30 in the morning, and I have work tomorrow. I have my alarm set for 4, and I haven't been able to sleep very well, and been up for a few hours. I I don't know if I'm tired or I suspect I'm just upset. Um, that last recording that I posted, it's very different to say these things aloud. A few years back, I went in and spoke with a counselor, and it's quite different to talk to somebody and say these things and be looked at or viewed like you're on another level of crazy or you're delusional. And you're just posting a recording and getting my story out has been much more healing for me and helpful personally than it is to face someone and talk one-on-one to somebody you don't really know. I'd almost rather talk to myself. And though the posting publicly isn't something I would normally do, as I've mentioned before, that piece is more on spiritual guidance. But just talking about these things that I haven't really discussed with anyone over the last few years and I've kept to myself, saying them was very emotional, but freeing. And I don't know. I've made some big allegations, and though I can't pinpoint any names, just saying that you suspect you've been attacked, that's a very big thing to say. And it's also a big thing to say you don't know who is involved and you have no factual basis to believe any of it. It's your gut intuition and it's your soul telling you this. That's a different way to say something. And then I said some things about people that would know who I was talking about if they heard my story. I named first names. If they know my history or they worked with me, they would understand this story. And the realization that a whole world would have the ability to hear these recordings or hear my thoughts or predictions or just information that I'm getting is very unsettling. I don't think anybody would be very happy to hear some of the things I've said. However, this really isn't intended to grumble about anything. It's not intended to get any kind of solution. I think if there was anything I could do, and I have gone to the extents that I can go, filling out police reports and talking to some people about some things and checking out my kids and making sure they're okay, and just doing my best to pick up the pieces of, all of this. I I don't know. I think my purpose here is to talk about a spiritual gift and speak some facts and not really make it about anything kind of emotional. I've had a couple of years to process this information, but I do consider myself to be a healer, and my healing efforts are going to go to myself. I know that I'm going to be okay. So I'm just going to continue talking. And if anyone doesn't like what I'm saying, factual wise, then stop messing with me. Don't give me anything to post. I'm just posting facts. And I'm posting the way that I see things. There might be some opinions in there. There might be some alleged things. Well, there's a lot of those. They're not proven yet. But let's see if they are in the future. Let's see if I can name it right now, and let's watch it happen in the future, because I'm told it all comes out. That being said, is thinking, airing out dirty laundry like this and nasty situations that people try and keep quiet. I have done my own fair share of bad behavior throughout the years of my life. I wouldn't say that I am a bad person. I wouldn't say I get into a lot of trouble, but I do not think anyone is perfect, and I'm certainly not perfect. And I don't know. I think some things happened to me when I was younger. That's what I'm being told. And my body reacts that way. If I go to the doctor to get a checkup, I just physically react, and I don't know why, but my body will react. I do know why. I've talked about why. I just don't have any proof. If a doctor says, "Has somebody hurt you before?" Well, the answer is no. No, not that I can remember. Seems okay to me. But I think there's some nightmarish sexual behavior going on ever since I've been a kid. I suspect that there are times in my childhood that I don't recall at all. And then there are times in my childhood I absolutely recall that we shouldn't really be able to remember, but I do remember. So I don't know. I don't know if that's one thing. And then I think the way that I have approached relationships has not been my best behavior. Things that I've done in the past, I've had relationships with married men. I think for me, it was connecting with somebody that felt safe. I didn't really have to worry about a commitment with them. They were already taken, and it wasn't about connecting at a super high intimate level. It was just getting your sexual needs met, and just not having to worry about somebody and all the other things that come with a relationship. I I've had a few of those. I haven't had a ton, but I've had a few, and it wasn't right. And if I could go back in time, I would take it back. But I suspect I know why I had them. Just more of a safety factor for me, but that ruins people's lives. And while I hold myself accountable, I also hold the men accountable that make those decisions as well. I think I have also watched my own fair share of sex videos or pornography because it seemed safer to engage in that on my own, by myself, than it did to get into how many relationships just to satisfy a need. That was just really seems like the more partners you have, the more risk you face, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. So I've certainly done that. I don't think porn is great. I don't think it's a great answer, but I feel like it is. I don't know. I don't know how I would change it or if I would. I feel like it was something that kept me safe. It was something I did alone, and I don't know, kept me from having to jump from relationship to relationship. So those are a couple of things that I have done throughout my life that I wouldn't necessarily share. I'm going to post this, but I don't plan on advertising that it's posted. I don't have anything calling attention to my channel. I don't intend to send this out to anyone or tell them that it's been posted at this time. And I'm just going to post it to post. And, so I question talking about subjects like that, but I'm speaking from the heart and admitting that I am not a perfect person, and there's things I would change if I could. And I think in our lives we all have those moments, whatever it is. So I think I just wanted to say that. It's now 12:50 in the morning, and I'm sitting in a grocery parking lot just talking to myself. And I have seen a couple of cops just kind of driving around. Every once in a while, somebody walks in or out. Anyway, so we have that topic. I can't say I've had a ton of intimate relationships or a ton of relationships in general. But when I met my husband, and I've debated saying this, but I don't really know him. I know him, I love him very much, but we have always been friends more than anything. He's likely gay, for all I know. We aren't intimate like that, and it was a miracle that we were able to have 2 kids. I didn't know how that was going to happen. We were going to maybe look into adoption or finding a donor or IVF. We were going to do something. But one day I just approached him and said, let's try it. Just you and me, and see what happens. And so we were intimate, and after that happened, I was thinking in my head, I'm not even finished with school, and this is crazy, let's stop trying. And I told him as much, and it was too late. It just took one time with my husband, and I was pregnant with our first child. And the second time, for my second pregnancy, we were able to be intimate a couple of times, but it didn't take very much work for me to get pregnant. And he's the father of my children, and at this time, I think I'm glad that it turned out like that. He appears to love his children very much, and to this date, he's been an amazing father. I don't know if that changes in the future. But they love him very much, and he loves them, he appears to. And I think that's been special. When we married, we made a deal that if either one of us found other people that we wanted to be with, we would leave the marriage and help each other. If one of us were to ever find somebody we really truly loved, and what are some other deals we made? I mean, obviously this was going to be an open relationship. I could never agree to marry somebody and be faithful to them if we weren't intimate with each other. So our deal was, if we find somebody that we want a relationship with, we tell the other person first and kind of get a sign off on it. And if the other person says, I don't like this person, this isn't a good idea, find somebody else, we would listen to that, and we would inform each other. And so essentially, this relationship that I've had with him has been an open relationship. And I think when people hear open relationships, they think swingers or just something very sex-filled, and that's not the case with us. It's not the case with me. I have had not very many partners in my life, and if I am intimate with somebody, it's very conscientious. It's feelings are involved. It's not. I don't really do one night stands. Although, um, I won't say that hasn't happened. Um, but I'm not some kind of sex fiend running around looking for my next hookup. It's not like that. And that was our agreement when we got married. And um, you never know how things are going to turn out when kids come along. And I always thought, well, I could be married and have relationships on the side as needed, and we could have this great friendship and want to raise kids together and be a family. And that kind of suited both of our needs at that time. He wasn't particularly interested in a sexual relationship, and I wasn't available either, really. I that was a very overwhelming thing for me. Um, so that's the way that it worked out. That was our deal. And when the kids came along, I realized I didn't want to have side relationships that they would view and see he or I having. I really didn't want them being involved in any of that. It just seemed very personal and not conventional. And I wanted to know that their parents loved each other, and that was that. But when you have kids, you don't have time for relationships, not if you love your kids. And yeah, it's been a number of years, and any kind of encounter with anybody has been very, very few and far between. And realizing what that truly meant for our kids, to say, hey, let's have an open relationship, and if we find other people we'd rather be with, then we'll help each other make that a possibility. That's great for the relationship, but you never realize what that would do to your kids if that came to be. That would tear their lives apart. That's a very big thing when parents get divorced or not together, or they kind of lose everything they know or are used to. So I didn't think of that piece until we were kind of right in the middle of it. But ultimately, after this last whatever it was went down with Ben, I will say I love people in general just very much. I love to talk with people, and I love to help them, and I love to make new friends and get to know people, and I love going into work and working with everyone. But the thought of any kind of intimacy with any other human being right now for me is, I find it disgusting. I find it just grosses me out. It grosses me out. There's something I can watch on the television. I can watch porn and be okay there, but to actually physically engage with anybody, like on an intimate level, since this last relationship, is just of absolute disgust to me. And I think one day I will be able to heal myself and get over that and find someone maybe that I care for very much, or if I don't, I just might be okay with that too. I think this one marriage that I've had for so many years has been enough. I don't have a need to find other people or be together or create. I don't know. Maybe we all need intimacy and love, but My focus right now is myself and my kids, and there's no goals to do anything more than that. I think any attention that is pulled away from my kids when they want my focus is just not on my mind. And I hear that, I don't know where I read this, it kind of came up out of nowhere, but I think if you have that feeling of disgust when you look at other people and you're thinking of any sexual terms or like at all, and just feeling disgust at the thought of being with anybody, that's a trauma response. And whatever trauma it is that I've gone through, I've told you what I suspect I've gone through. It is certainly affecting me. Whatever is going on, this is a very big thing. This is much more than just me and my kids or my husband or my group, my job or my work. This deal right here that I'm caught in the middle of it extends. It's a human trafficking ring. It's very big, and it goes all the way up. It goes all the way up the chain, I heard. There's a government official involved. It's a thing. That's what I heard this blows up to be. But that comes much more down the road, and it's not a good thing. And I'm talking about, such personal topics that I wouldn't normally discuss with anybody, because my life and my sexual life has been absolutely exploited. There's no reason to have a camera up in somebody's home unless you're using it to make some money, or just generally invade somebody's space. But you would think that there would has to be a purpose, and I think there is. I think I'm being streamed. And it's on the internet somewhere, and I feel watched, and I think it's making money. And I think I'm not the only one. I think there's a lot of people that this has happened to, and I think there's been a lot of lives that have been destroyed. And I think there's a lot of kids that have been involved. And I think when kids are involved, they've been asked to, how do I put this? I think they've been asked to look for things or find things in their parents' house and hand it over to these predators. So they end up, being more involved in their parents' sex life than they realize or would ever want to be. Just because these traffickers, they get pretty creative in how they get their material and who's involved. And man, if you look up the world of porn, you can find anything. You can find anything. You can find the weirdest things. And it's like there's no one's immune. Like, you would think, what does somebody want with, a 47, 48-year-old woman who's had 2 kids, and like, who would want to watch that? And I agree, but this industry has expanded to much, much more than like some 20-year-old. It's like there's every genre out there, and they all make a lot of money, and anybody can do it. Um, you can buy cameras anywhere. You can stream any place. You can. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how accessible it is to get involved in this, and it's not regulated at all. And I think the last I read, we don't even know how many sites are out there. We don't know how much money is involved. We don't like there's no track of anything for this stuff. So it's like this big issue that, man, if we could tackle this, we'd be fixing a lot. Because there's this huge, like, I don't know the word for it, but maybe a loophole that's being exploited by just, and these rings can grow bigger and bigger because just this opportunity to network and post and get money and find each other, and it's a growing thing that is, it's so ugly. So I don't know. These are my thoughts on that. I have so many more thoughts. I will post them as it comes to me, as I feel it's important to say. And I think that's all I have for now. Thanks. Bye.